Jazakallah. Please rise for the national anthem of Pakistan. Today we are here to talk about the World Economic Forum at Davos, and the only organization representing Pakistan at the WEF is the Pathfinder Group for the last 30 years. World Economic Forum stands as a premier international organization for public-private cooperation, bringing together leaders from business, government, academia, and civil society to shape global, regional, and industrial agendas. At its core, the WEF emphasizes the importance of addressing pressing global challenges, including social indicators that define the quality of life, equity, and sustainability. Today, our discussion also centers around the social indicators, for which we have distinguished speakers with us, and the chief guest, Ambassador Zamir Akram Saab. Thank you so much, sir, for coming. And we shall start by discussing the importance of education, climate and health, and women empowerment. For the opening remarks, and my first speaker, that is Faisal Mushtaq and Ms. Aiza Azam, I would like to call upon you on the stage. It's a wonderful opportunity to invite a distinguished individual whose contributions to education, social welfare, and youth empowerment have left an indelible mark on Pakistan and beyond. Dr. Faisal Mushtaq, the CEO of Roots Millennium Education Group. Welcome, sir. He is conferred with Tamgha Imtiaz by the government of Pakistan, and now I would like to invite Dr. Faisal Mushtaq for opening remarks and his vision of education.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. I would like to thank the chairman, Mr. Akram Sehgal, and for his vision, for his passion, and for his enduring and sustained commitment to Pakistan and to championing the cause of Pakistan amongst the Global Committee of Nations. Ladies and gentlemen, the chairman, Akram Sehgal Saab, has always, being in the private sector, I think it would be fair enough to call him the real diplomat for fighting for Pakistan's positioning, opportunity, narrative, and the chairman's vision is for that Pakistan should be projected at a world stage where the true reflections and the true opportunity should be exhibited. And doing so, the Pathfinder Group, they each year they collaborate with the World Economic Forum, and they have this annual meeting at Davos. Honorable Chief Guest, Ambassador Zamir Akram Saab, it's a real privilege and a singular honor to have met you. My friends here, I've also had the opportunity to travel with the Pathfinder Group under the patronage and leadership of Mr. Akram Sehgal to Davos. And I'll tell you that the interaction and the experiences and the learning that I've had at Davos was extraordinary. They host a breakfast, they host a Pakistan pavilion. It is otherwise the responsibility of the state to represent any nation state amongst the global community. But as someone who believes in the power of individuality and someone who believes in the power of me, there is a very famous textbook education program. It's called Leader in Me by Franklin Covey. And Leader in Me talks about the self-actualization of Iqbal's Khudi. Leader in Me talks about the power of individualism. And whereas we always try to get ourselves into the nation theory of state and of country, of governments, but Mr. Sehgal's vision has always been the influence and the impact how individuals and corporates and the private sector can harness by collaborating with each other to represent the country. Now, this year's theme at Davos is about social indicators. And talking about social indicators, clearly I reflect and represent education. And education and literacy is something that is also my journey and my life and my own professional quest. I see lots of students here from TMUC and the Roots Millennium Education and other universities and institutes. Boys and girls, I've always said, and I'll say it again in preparation for the Davos meeting, that when people are born in a country or in a nation state, people are born as subjects, not as citizens. Education, literacy, human development, they transform subjects into citizenry. So the significance of literacy, education, empowerment, do you understand what I'm trying to say? If someone is born in a country and they're not literate and they're not educated, then how can they contribute to the national economy? How can they contribute to the GDP? How can they contribute to themselves? So they remain as aliens. So in Pakistan, we have a huge challenge, 25 million out-of-school children, learning poverty, learning losses, and a very large dilemma with the public education failure, which clearly has been filled in by the rise of private sector. And then we have differentiated challenges between public schools, madrasa schools, private schools, and development sector. What I always say that anyone who's contributing positively to the cause of literacy and human development is a national hero and is a champion. Here, I would like to make a special mention of a young, passionate, and a trailblazing social champion, and who is Miss Amani Sehgal herself, Mr. Akram Sehgal's granddaughter, and that little girl, out of her compassion and empathy for the planet, for people, and she wanted to profit the planet and society, she initiated a program called Providencia Books. And that program, boys and girls, you must listen to this, is very unique, that they have partnered with Roots Millennium Education, and they have placed a donation kiosk at each school. And the students are encouraged to share or to donate old books, even textbooks, story books. They are not even encouraged to buy new books, कि कोई भी किताब है उसको आप share करें, so that that book can go to the benefit of someone who is more deserving and someone who has this quest. ये कोई छोटा initiative नहीं है. कहा जाता है किताब के बारे में कि जिस घर में या किसी इदारे में और या किसी की ज़िंदगी में किताब नहीं, वो ऐसा है जैसे इंसानी जिस्म में रूह नहीं. So the reading and significance of books, and through this distribution channel, which has created a large connectivity amongst the students to give back, it is promoting empathy, compassion, it is promoting collaboration. So I must recognize and appreciate this young girl, Amani Sehgal, sitting in the United States, but for a rich commitment and passion for a better world, she has initiated this. Social and Human Development Index, boys and girls, schools, they always contribute towards knowledge society. Universities, they contribute towards a knowledge economy. No nation can move forward unless and until you show your commitment to universalization of primary education. Not just universalization, but also your commitment to gender equity, your commitment to professional development, your commitment to social and human development. And thus, Pakistan is a signatory to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. There are 17 such goals, and those goals, they do talk about climate education, they talk about social and human development, literacy, gender equality, equal opportunity, addressing inequalities in education, resource and funding. And Pakistan was also a signatory to the Dhaka Convention, and now Pakistan's positioning amongst the Human Development Index is 142 or 152. Now, would you imagine, Pakistanis, that the person who authored the framework of human development globally was called Dr. Mehbubullah, and he was a Pakistani. And then the Koreans, they took his model. So the person who curated and incubated the Global Human Development Index was a Pakistani, and today in that index we stand at the lowest level. Each one of you, those who are sitting here, we are all privileged. However, through education, we need to make sure that we share that entitlement and privilege for the boys and girls, those who are not that privileged. And there's a major transformation needs to come through the public sector reforms. And remember, it's not the federal government's mandate anymore. The mandate is curriculum, the mandate is policy, the mandate is practices. It is a provincial mandate. The most important person is the Secretary Education of the province, the Minister for Education, and the Chief Minister. So under the Pakistan's constitutional positioning, we have NFC and we have a national federal kitty. The money goes to the provinces. So always remember, never blame the central government. Always, whenever you work, try to work through the communities and social impact initiatives. I call upon this opportunity for all of you to read about the annual meeting at Davos. I'm very privileged that I get an invitation through the chairman, Mr. Akram Sehgal, and my colleagues and I, we shall be traveling to Davos in Switzerland, and we will be looking forward to our interaction in the sectors of education, social and human development, health, financial engagement, and women empowerment. This is not the first time that the chairman, Mr. Sehgal, is taking someone like me. He has taken hundreds and thousands of people, including all prime ministers, including military chiefs, including governors of central banks, and decision makers, parliamentarians, progressive thinkers, intellectuals, and authors. Boys and girls, I live in Pakistan, and every 3 months I build a new school or open a new school. I believe he who opens a door of a school closes one of a prison in society. I have all the opportunity to be entitled to live anywhere around the world, but this country is big. We are because of this country, and this country is because of us. Never ask what Pakistan has done for you. Always ask yourself, what have you done for Pakistan? On this, I thank the chairman, Mr. Akram Sehgal, and the honorable chief guest and distinguished friends here for giving me this opportunity. And I would encourage everyone to read about Davos and to believe in Davos and the kind of dialogue and discussion it creates conversations, and those conversations, they build on that narrative. जब आप बात करते हैं कि हमारा कश्मीर पे बयानिया नहीं है, फ़लस्तीन पे बयानिया नहीं है, या किसी और इशू पे बयानिया नहीं है, तो बयानिया बनाने के लिए आपने छोटी सा बयानिया बनाना होता है. आप कोसार मार्केट कॉफ़ी शॉप में बैठते हैं, वहाँ पे अपना नैरेटिव बनाते हैं और फिर आके अपने इदारों में उसको फॉलो करते हैं. तो मुल्कों के नैरेटिव ग्लोबल मीटिंग्स में बनते हैं. So we must recognize and value and appreciate how a private sector individual, a nationalist and a patriot called Mr. Sehgal, is putting Pakistan on the world stage. And I'm very privileged and humbled to be a partner in this great vision. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Faisal. And Dr. Faisal is the one person who has totally transformed the private sector education in Pakistan. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we move forward with this discussion, it is crucial to recognize the transformative power of social indicators in Pakistan, and it is in the role of social indicators in shaping Pakistan's future. Our focus of discussion in Pakistan is always economic development, but this is very clear that without social development, economic development is not sustainable. So when we need to develop, we need a healthy nation. And in Pakistan, mostly mental health is often neglected. And with the climate change and its impact on health, we must look forward into the physical and both mental health. So we have an environmental scholar here with us today. He is leading the Strengthening Regional Climate Resilience Program at the Institute of Regional Studies, Mr. Talha Bhatti. His expertise includes climate change, governance, environmental policy, and regional climate analysis. A former university lecturer, he has trained over 300 climate advocates and co-authored reports for multilateral donors. Talha is a regular contributor to print media and appears on national and international platforms discussing climate resilience, justice, and diplomacy. Let us hear from him about health and climate change.
Assalamu alaikum. As you all know, my name Talha. I'm an environmentalist. I'm working for Institute of Regional Studies. Today I wanted to show you some of the stats which are remarkably alarming in regards to climate change and specific to health in Pakistan and the relation to it. Whenever we talk about climate change, we think that it is happening right now, but if you look at the phenomena, it is happening from the last 400,000 years. But the alarming situation is about, it is actually getting amplified and intensified in the last, specifically in the last 200 years. If you look at the historic data sets from the ice cores or to the tree sets or to the sedimentations, we came to know that the planet is actually shifted its temperature from +2 to -5. And this is the range on which the planet is actually going on from the historic value. But if you look at the last 20,000 years and specifically last 12,000 years, we came to know that the temperatures which were once abnormal become very normal and came into a position which we call Holocene. Holocene is the time frame in the last 12,000 years where the temperatures not only exceed the limit of +5 and -5 on a global average, but on the human tendency, we have this, once we get curious about something, we tend to develop the pathways of it. And once the pathways are developed, we tend to optimize it. And after the optimization of that particular process, we tend to expand it. And that is exactly what happened in the last 200 years. If you look at from 1850, the biology, the chemistry, and the physics and mathematics was actually developed at that time. And because of that, with the help of hydrocarbons, we actually expanded what we call the industrial complex we have these days. And now we have reached to the point, specifically in the last, from 1950 to 2020, we tend to into a great acceleration period in which the human population is actually increased by multiple folds, and so do the economy. In the last, specifically right now, if you look at the choices we have, we are looking forward to 3 dimensions or the 3 figures we have. We have 4 degrees centigrade temperature on the global average, we have 3, and we have 2. The Paris Agreement tend to believe that we can control the temperatures to 1.5 threshold by 2100, but the scientific community believe it's not even possible right now, what kind of the heat we added into the system. And the last planetary health check which we have from Sweden tells us that 6 out of 9 planetary boundaries are not in the safe working limit. 9 planetary boundaries are quantified in which the planet works as we look at it, the seasons we have, the precipitation we have, and all the other things we believe is over there. But 6 out of 9 planetary boundaries are not in the functional limit, and this year they updated it, the 7th one is also in the critical zone. And climate change, just to tell you this, climate change is just one of them. It doesn't mean that if we turn down the fossil fuels and all the other bad habits, we can control the change we are experiencing. And the other fact is that the main thermostat of this planet is what we call seas or the water content around the planet, the thermostats of the North and the South Pole. And the conditions are alarming. The water have a certain property that once you put it on the stove, it didn't get up heated instantly. So thoda sa time lagta hai, and once it heated up, it stays warm. That is the property of the water. And the oceans, if you look at the oceans, it's pretty warm out there. And the temperature we are looking forward is around 2.7 degree Celsius, which means on the global average, if it's 2.7, on the land it's around 5 to 6, and on the cryosphere it's around 7 to 8 degrees. So the change is actually humongous, and in the last 20 months which we have experienced is remarkably alarming, because every month is breaking the record of the previous year. So historically we were never at this point in our history known history, which we know from the sedimentation or even to the ice cores data sets. Why I'm saying this, because 50 degrees Celsius is confined to 1 to 2 degree hotspots around the world. But we have witnessed in the last 1 year, it is actually happening on the 10 different places around the world. And mostly it is happening in Asia and Middle East, which is actually happened in China, India, Pakistan, Iran, and Kuwait. There's significant anomalies into the events which is happening around the world, and what we have seen in flood of 2022 was one of them. And the number every month, I wanted to show this anomalies. The figures were actually in the double digits. These significant anomalies happened once in 50 years or 100 years or 200 years, but they are happening in double digits in a month. So the conditions are really alarming, and the best thing we know today is we came to know about the science and COP28 that to remain into this Holocene, or to control the temperature in 1.5, we need to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions by 43%. But all the indices we have around the world right now is only capping around 2 to 4% of those gases, which is actually alarming in that regard. When we talk about Pakistan, there are certain factors which we need to understand, that the change which is already happened. And I will share some of them with you. We have lost 3.9 years of our life, average life, from every person because of this bad air, poor quality. Due to this bad air, we lost around 3.9 years of life. And we have the sea surface temperatures around 1.2 degrees Celsius, which is not normal. And in the last year, we usually talk about 2022 floods, but in the last year, we actually faced 13 natural disasters. So it's not a single crisis anymore, it's a poly crisis right now, which we are experiencing. And if we talk about the upper Indus Basin, the north side of Pakistan, we came to know that we have around 3,044 glacial lakes. Now, when the glacial lake is developed, the albedo reduced from that particular area. Due to the reduction of that albedo is the reflection which actually glacier reflect back the heat into the outer space. So because of those 3,000 lakes, the system is re-amplifying itself, re-establishing itself, and because of that, it's going to increase in the coming years. In the last, we have this disruption in the monsoon cycle. We cannot predict what kind of monsoon spell we're going to have in the coming years. We have floods every year. I have recorded the data that from 1992 to 2022, every year we have the flood, we have the heat waves, and we have the smog issue, which we all witnessed within the start of this winter. And if we look at the health perspective, in Pakistan, every child which is under the age of 1 and the adult which is above the age of 65 is actually experiencing 3.6 heat waves days per year right now. And it is actually increased, the increase in the infant is 87%, and over the age of 65, it's 174%. And this is, if we compare the data sets with the baseline period, which was around 1986 to 2005. And if we look at the same time period when from 2014 to 2023, the heat stress is now becoming abnormal. You cannot even walk in the summers outside your home. And the losses were humongous. The most impacted people are older people, socio-economically derived people, the young population, the pregnant women, and the people who are living to already have a certain disease in them. So they are become more vulnerable when these heat stresses become alarming. And if you look at the economically, what are the impacts of that heat is around 26 billion potential working hours, labor hours, which were lost during the 2023. And it is actually increased 121%. If we compare the data sets of 1990 to 2000, that is the difference which we are experiencing right now. And the losses in regards to US dollars, it's around 17.1 billion. And the hardest hit area is the agriculture sector, because we have reduced the potential hours for 65%. And these numbers are humongous and sometimes feel like unreal to me, because they are becoming higher and higher by each passing year. If we look at the air quality index, we have a higher risk of cardiovascular diseases, lung cancer, neurological disorders, and there is a high burden on the health system itself, which could collapse in that regard. And why we are having these problems, because we are still on to this coal energy, thermal energy footprint. The coal consumption is actually increased 18.7% into the energy supply. And due to this bad air quality, if we look at the 100,000 deaths each year, 105 were attributed to specifically to the air pollution. And if we look at the drought sector, that the droughts are impacting our agriculture side, so 35% of the land actually, on average, on Pakistan, experience the drought for 1 month, and 18% experience it for 3 months. So the average is increasing every year. And I just want to share in the last that the real luxuries we have today are the simple ones, like the long walk, the good conversation with anyone, to choose freely into the society. These are the real luxuries which we take for granted. And we need to make sure that we stick to those which are valuable to us. So thank you so much. This is my message to all of you. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Talha. Thank you so much. And in Pakistan, women labor force participation is low as compared to countries with the same income. In 2023, the female labor force in Pakistan was 23.18%. And now I would like to hear from Ms. Aiza Azam about women's empowerment. She is currently teaching at Air University, Department of International Relations, and she is coordinator for outreach and events at the Faculty of Aerospace and Strategic Studies. He has held senior management roles at research institutions and in the corporate sector. Her diverse experience includes a fellowship at the European University Institute, research on Balochistan narratives, and leadership roles at the Pakistan-China Institute and CSCR. Please, Aiza.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and please pardon my voice. I'm afraid the cold has also gotten to me. When I was asked to speak here on the role of, on women empowerment in general, I thought it was a very interesting question. But before I get to that, I'd just quickly like to introduce very briefly what we do at the FASS. We are at me and my students and my colleagues of Faraz. We belong to the Faculty of Aerospace and Strategic Studies at Air University. We have 2 semesters represented here today, and we're a very young department, about just 4 years old. We're completing our 4th year. But in these 4 years, we've managed to achieve, I believe, a great deal. We've successfully launched our undergraduate program. We successfully launched 2 master's programs. And we also, 2 years ago, launched our PhD program, of which I'm also a part. So what did my profile did not mention, because I neglected to tell you. I'm also a PhD candidate at my own department. So it's a wonderful experience that we have. When we were coming on the way here, it occurred to me that I should ask my students, what do they feel or what do they understand by the term women empowerment? And do the girls that I teach and do the boys who study with them, do they feel that the girls and the women who are part of our system, are they empowered? So their responses, more or less the common responses, were that for a woman to be empowered, it implies that they should have equal opportunities, that there should be equitable representation, that they should have a seat at the table, that women should be educated, they should be given opportunities to have a role in society, and they should have financial independence. Now, these are all fairly, I think, common understandings that we would have. And what it actually led me to think about was, do I, as a woman in Pakistani society, do I feel empowered? Or is it just something that I believe, it's not enough to say that, to tell me that I'm empowered, do I actually feel that I am? So reflecting on my own experiences, I belong to a fairly traditional family system, and I think those of you who are part of the Pakistani society would understand what that means. Dominant gentlemen and women who are powerful in the system, but they also have a different role to play compared to the men. But in my family, we've always seen women have an equal voice. This was evidenced in the generation of my grandmother, in my parents' generation, in my generation as well. When I think of it in terms of my work experience, or actually my study experience, the faculty members who taught me at school in different universities, all of them came from different backgrounds, varying levels of, varying positions of senior management or teaching responsibilities, all confident young women, obviously with something to prove, and somebody who'd been given an opportunity. And when I think of it in terms of my career, my experiences, I've been fortunate to have the opportunity to have studied and traveled abroad as well, to have worked abroad as well for brief periods of time. And I've come across women from all different areas and sectors of society with different experiences. So when I think of whether or not I feel empowered as a woman, I think it's important to identify or to actually highlight the fact, empowerment comes from two sources. It comes obviously from your environment, the external source, and it also comes from you within yourself. So this would essentially refer to the people that are around you, the people that you surround yourself with, the environment that you're in, the system that you're part of, and also how are you responding to that external environment as well. Environment, I can tell you from personal experience, it matters a great deal. In the course of my career, and it's 15 years strong now, I've had two formative opportunities. The first one, where actually I also met Mr. Faisal Mushtaq when we first had the opportunity, when he was, I believe it was your school, sir, who actually introduced the teaching of Chinese language system at the school level. So they actually introduced it in Islamabad and also in Pakistan. That was at the Pakistan-China Institute. And when I worked there with Senator Mushahid Hussain, the opportunities and the empowerment and the freedom that I was given to exercise what I wanted to do, the way that I wanted to work, I would really consider that one of the formative phases of my career, because it had a supporting environment and we had supportive employers as well. And when I think of it, the second formative opportunity that I would really credit is here at Air University, where I've been working for the last 4 years. And again, a great deal of that actually I would credit to our faculty, our staff, and especially to our dean, Dr. Adil Sultan, who heads the department. Because as we all know, leadership comes from the top. So here as well, it has not only given me and my colleagues, both male and female, the opportunity to really express ourselves and really come into our own and really start doing what we wish to do. It has also allowed us to help our students achieve those same things. So the faculty, all of us, we focus very much on allowing our students to develop thinking minds, to offer them exposure, to offer them opportunities such as this one. So really creating a space for them to think, to imagine, to create, and to aspire to something. And I'm very happy to see that we're actually, in the last 4 years that since we've started this program, we're actually seeing the results of all of that in our students. And the second thing which I need to, and this is particularly for the younger minds that are sitting here, most of you who are my students also, the people around you matter. The people that you surround yourself with, the people that you work for, and then also the people who will come after you that you're responsible for. So in both of these places, again, as I mentioned, we were given these opportunities. But I think something that keeps coming back to me and something which I from time to time run into again in my experience as well, it is not enough to simply be offered a space at the table. One, you have to have the ability, you have to have the desire, you have to have the drive to take it, but also simply being offered token representation within a system or within a platform is not enough. You have to be given those environment, or you have to be given those avenues or channels where your voice can actually be heard. So if I'm sitting in a boardroom which has 15 male faculty members and I'm the only female member, I should not be the token representative there, the token lady who is sitting at the table just so that we have some kind of gender representation. I should be given an equal voice and I should also be heard equally. And for that, the environment matters, the people matter, but also it is up to me as well how I make myself heard. So empowerment, I would say, really does come from within. If you are provided opportunities, for instance, those of you who are studying in these universities, even this opportunity that you have today, this is a privilege that not many other people that you might even know have. So taking the opportunities that you get and then also taking advantage of those opportunities, really using them to their full benefit is equally important. So if you're part of a system, you need to make sure that you are heard. And if there are those who would not wish for you to be heard, you need to make sure that you find a way to go around them as well. So your responsibility, I think it's really important to understand this, again for my students and all of the other students here as well. Your responsibility is not just to yourself, it is also to the people that you are responsible for and the people who are going to be coming after you as well. So if I think back to the question that I began my talk with, do I feel empowered? I feel that I have a voice, I'm capable of and more than willing to use my voice, and that I'm also heard. So what you need to take away from this is that being empowered is not a passive experience. Being empowered means that you will not be handed things on a platter. You should be able to go after them, to seek them, and to take what is offered to you. So if you're offered a plate or if you're offered a platter, it is important for you to step up, take the opportunity, and then create that way moving forward for anybody else who's going to come after you. So I'll leave you with these remarks, and I really hope that this stays in your minds because this is important information. Thank you.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the next indicator, which remains relatively neglected in Pakistan, that is financial inclusion. While the digital landscape is rapidly growing worldwide, Pakistan continues to face challenges in this area, particularly for women. According to the State Bank of Pakistan, 53% of adult population is financially excluded. A key reason for this large unbanked population is the lack of awareness and about financial products and how to use them. Additionally, many people lack basic money and financial management skills, and concepts such as budgeting and investing and saving. These are novel to them. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Matiur Rahman, Head of Policy Research and Chief Technical Advisor at Capacity Analytics. Dr. Mati is an accomplished economist with a focus on development planning and program evaluation. Over 15 years of his career, he has worked with a range of esteemed public and development sector organizations. His expertise extends to major international organizations, including the World Bank, USAID, FCDO, UNDP, GIZ, and various national donors. Dr. Mati has also served in prominent roles with think tanks, academia, and public sector institutions, making valuable contributions to development projects across the globe. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Matiur Rahman to the stage and share his insights on financial inclusion.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much, KCFR, Akram, Faisal Sahab, Dr. Faisal, Mushtaq, and all the colleagues here. Ladies and gentlemen, I am basically from the background of economics, so we primarily talk in numbers. That's what our language is all about. But having said that, it's my privilege to be here as a speaker and to talk about financial inclusion. For financial inclusion for us is not only a policy choice. It is a fundamental enabler for poverty alleviation and sustainable economic growth. And it is defined as, I would like to first give you a definition. It is defined as that the individuals and businesses have the access to useful and affordable financial products and services that meet their needs. And the needs are basically the transactions, payments, savings, credit insurance, and which are delivered in a responsible and sustainable way. Financial inclusion facilitates the day-to-day livings, helps families and businesses plan for their everything from their long-term goals to the daily unexpected emergencies. Around the world, the financial inclusion is increasingly recognized as a cornerstone of sustainable development, contributing directly to achieving the 7 out of 17 sustainable development goals. It empowers individuals and businesses by providing access to affordable and responsible financial products and services. The empirical evidence underscores there is strong linkage between the financial inclusion and poverty alleviation and sustainable growth. There is a paper in Bangladesh about about this correlation, and it states that with a consistent increase in financial inclusion, there is a corresponding consistent decrease in poverty rates in the country. It's a very good paper to talk about that financial inclusion. Also, this research also provides these results that access to financial services enhance the savings, capital mobilization, entrepreneurship, financial stability, and ultimately it leads towards the sustained economic growth. The positive impact of financial inclusion is particularly pronounced among women, disabled, and other marginalized groups. By integrating these groups into the financial ecosystem, financial inclusion promotes the economic empowerment and helps reduce the poverty at a structural level. Now let me give you a little bit the context of what Pakistan is trying to achieve through the various programs about financial inclusion. One of the key steps Pakistan has taken so far was done by the State Bank of Pakistan, that they launched the National Financial Inclusion Strategy in 2015. And that strategy basically represented a bold vision to achieve the universal financial inclusion in Pakistan. The access to banking services has more than doubled compared to the recent past, when it was 25 to 30% in the adult population. And the State Bank claims that now, right now, by this year, the Pakistan has significantly expanded the reach of banking service to the 60% of the adult population, and including 43% of female citizens. And their next strategy, which they are right now developing for national financial inclusion strategy, they are aiming to take this financial inclusion rate from 60% to 75% in next 5 years. Similarly, in the recent past, particularly post-COVID, the rate of financial inclusion has rapidly increased globally as well, and in Pakistan in particularly. That, for example, in the last fiscal year, the fiscal year 23-24, in one quarter of that fiscal year, the branchless banking sector reached a historic milestone with over 1 billion transactions conducted in a single quarter in fiscal year 24. And those 1 billion transactions were amounting to rupees 5 billion in overall. It was a 12% growth from the previous years. And these transactions were basically about the funds transfers and bill payments, mobile top-ups, and 43% of these transactions were about the funds transfers, and 22% were of the bill payments. The total number of branchless banking accounts has increased to 114 million, with male holding 80 million accounts and females holding 35 million accounts. The daily transactions now average around 12 million per day. Transactions are being conducted in Pakistan. It's quite 12 or 13% increase from last year. So from the government statistics, if we see, the rate of financial inclusion has been quite encouraging, particularly post-COVID. But there are a few challenges as well. If we go to the independent researchers, they have their own view about the rate of financial inclusion in Pakistan. For them, Pakistan's journey towards financial inclusion is not far from over. Its progress is transformative, but there are many shortcomings that are to be addressed. Pakistan faces challenges such as the limited infrastructure, cultural barriers, and widespread inequality. Currently, I am working with the social protection program in Sindh province, and we are providing social protection, social assistance money to the pregnant and lactating women in 20 districts of Sindh province. And for that, there are a few conditions. One of the conditions is that the lady will come to the health facility, and with those health checkups, we will provide them for each round. They will be given rupees 3,000 rupees. And when she comes to the hospital and when she goes back, on the phone number she gives us, we send her a message that there is 3,000 rupees in the Jazz Cash. Go to your nearest Jazz Cash and take that money. So what happens is that the lady, when she goes out, it's not her cell phone. The cell phone is of her husband. She's not allowed to have a cell phone in her home. So all the money that the government is trying to provide her, she doesn't even know where it's going. It's total 30,000 rupees, which the government is trying to give her in installments, 3,000 each, over the next 1.5 years. But all that money that is specifically for that lady, most of them has given us the feedback that they don't even know that they received a Jazz Cash message, and whether they went to they're not allowed to go to the Jazz Cash. So that is, ladies and gentlemen, what the financial inclusion in rural areas of Pakistan is right now, which we are trying to address at that level. So the problems are quite gruesome, particularly when it's about the rural areas and the female, as we were talking about the women empowerment. So this was quite alarming for us, and it was quite shocking for us that while sitting in Islamabad, we are making so many policies and programs for the betterment of the marginalized groups and the women. However, in reality, when you go to the field, you will find there is a stark difference between what we are actually facing and what we are planning at this level. So, but we are the kind of initiatives we are taking in Pakistan has largely been benefiting to the population, particularly in the urban areas of this country. Pakistan's branch-length banking initiatives has been working towards expanding the financial access, particularly in the underserved areas. The initiatives enables millions of Pakistanis to access financial services such as fund transfers, bill payments, and other traditional bank accounts. So, as I said earlier, the post-COVID phenomena is quite encouraging. However, it is skewed for the remote rural areas in Pakistan. The World Economic Forum's Edison Alliance underscores the global recognition of efforts of State Bank of Pakistan, under the direction of Akram Sahab, basically has started Asan Mobile Account Scheme, which is basically a very good initiative, and it is basically, this basically shows a very bold step from the government of Pakistan to have such facility to increase the financial inclusion in this country. The Asan Mobile Scheme is a testament to our commitment to these principles. Pakistan Telecommunication Authority and State Bank of Pakistan are basically leveraging this technology to reach to those who have been long excluded from the formal financial networks. Through the Asan Mobile application, any Pakistani holding a valid CNIC can have their bank account digitally in any participating bank. So this initiative has been launched and it has been very successful so far. And the results are very, very encouraging, and they speak it for themselves. As of 2022, Asan Mobile Account application has successfully opened 5.7 million accounts with 7 million non-financial transactions and 42 billion of financial transactions. And there is for me, as a social scientist, as an economist, the encouraging news is that the 38% of the participants of Asan Mobile account are the women. So this is a very, very good initiative that, and quite financially inclusive as well. So in conclusion, financial inclusion is not merely a goal, but a pathway to equitable, sustainable economic growth. And Pakistan's ongoing struggle with the structural barriers and the cultural barriers to the global innovation, the financial inclusion can lead us from these dark economic times to a brighter technology-based futures. While policies and technologies are evolving to address these challenges, there are few questions that we must ask ourselves. And the first is how can the countries bridge the digital divide to ensure no one is left behind in this digital era? As I said, that perhaps in the major cities of our country, we may have a very good financial inclusion rates and programs, but practically I am working with the remote areas in Pakistan, and there is a large, stark divide for the financial inclusion. And how do we balance the innovation with ethical concerns of privacy, data security, and equitable access? So these are a few questions that at the program and policy level we need to address. But overall, the financial inclusion in Pakistan has been a great blessing. Asan Mobile Account application, the scheme has been a great blessing, and we hope, although we are a little behind in the overall global average or financial inclusion rates, but Pakistan's progress is quite steady, and we look forward to a brighter future for financial inclusion and overall the economic growth of Pakistan. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.